Welcome back to our IT support skills video project. This is for our members who are taking the IT support skills program. If you wish to, join this program with all these members and guided by the IT experts and mentors, please go ahead and click on the description. There's a link and apply to this program, and you can use similar systems in the project, and when you're learning you can use practice lab. Very powerful access, but you need to be guided because there's so much that you can learn from it. And of course our test out access that we give is also very targeted type of skills. So I really think that this program is designed for people who really want to become an IT professionals the right way. So now, of course, if you're following my videos on YouTube, you can follow the playlist by clicking here and then click on this hands-on modern labs. And these videos are going all the way to the bottom right here, because these are like more of a lab on desktop servers, and this is more of Microsoft on top. So everything is included in here. I mean, things are pretty hands-on. So now today we are going to learn basics of file sharing, some techniques. I'm not going to go into details of NTFS and all of that stuff. That's what you learn from test out, right? When we give you the test out access, that's what you learn from that. That's where you learn step by step, somebody explaining it to you, little theory, little bit of labs, simulated labs, and then you have this practice labs. It has tons of file sharing labs in here, step by step as well on real systems then. So I'm not going to go into what is NTFS, what is this, what is that. No, I'm just going to show you some techniques that can enable you to start working in this career or job and some real world scenarios. So then you get that drive towards learning theory behind it. So the first thing we need to do is this. We need to create a scenario. So we have a staff member, Monica Cuckoo. She has been very nice to us so far. And she will log into, let's say, her machine today. And all right, so she will log in one day and she will say, hey, she'll call you guys and say, well, I am missing a folder. My director told me when I got hired, I'm supposed to have a map drive or here on computer somewhere. And also I supposed to access marketing folder. I just don't see that. Can you guys help me? And now, of course, if you're brand new, you never did this, you're like, okay, how do I do, first of all, map drive? What is she talking about? So let's first create a little system, just like we created an Active Directory as a systems administrator, just like that. File sharing is also a planned thing in IT business or IT departments. You cannot just go there and start sharing files with each person just because you have the access and you can do it. You have to do things correctly. So this is also a part of identity professionals where they're going to go when they set up everything, and file sharing could be many different solutions, but I'm just going to show you on the server level, which is accepted as a skill. So if you learn this and you explain this to someone you're new to this technology, they will respect it. They know what you're talking about. So we're going to go to the server. And now you can see we have a server and a client, which is your member, right? So I'm going to show you a few things over here. If you look at it, the first thing, if you want to do is file sharing between server, and this is something you will learn from our sessions when we do live sessions in our program. An instructor explains it a little bit more detail, but I'm going to right click and create a folder over here just for your demo purpose. Okay, so I'm going to create this folder right here and I'm going to name it share. And I'm also going to do that on this desktop, which, let's say, Monica desktop. I'm going to do this right here and share. If you look at these two, they're exactly looking the same, right? This is a server. This is Windows 10 on the right side. So all right, so I was looking for my pen. So here you go. So this is a Win 10 and this is a 2022 server, right? So we want to see the difference between these two. If I right click and go to properties, if you want to share this, you will click on share. And of course you can click on share right here, and that's an easy way to share. But I want to show you something. If I click on advanced sharing and I click on share this folder, I want you to just look at this number. It's a huge number. What does it say right here? Simultaneous users. This means if this many people connected to this server, they will have access to this folder. If anyone beyond that number 7, let's say, connected to this, they will get a message that connections are reserved or whatever. You're going to get some kind of error. If I right click on a desktop now, and I'm going to go to properties, and I'm going to go to share and go to advanced sharing. Of course, they cannot do advanced sharing because this is not a user specific permission. Like, user cannot just do these things. Imagine if they start sharing things all over your network and people are dropping files with each other. That's going to be a big problem, right? So we're going to have to do this as a help desk on her machine just for this demo. If I click on share right now, look at the difference. How many simultaneous connections can be connected on Windows 10 right now? 20. So this will not be a good idea to use a Windows 10 machine for file sharing, right? Now, does that make sense to a lot of people? Because if we use desktop, they're not built for that. Desktops are mainly built for individuals or maybe multiple users working on different hours, right? But servers are used for that services, where it gives print services, right? If a printer is shared, then many people can share that printer. If it's a file, then many people can get that file. If it's a website with services, a lot of people can get to that website server because it has more capabilities like that. A desktop is not built for that. Yes, you can run a website because it is going to use protocols like ports and other things, but on a server, it's going to be a different thing. It's going to be more powerful. Similar stuff, but more powerful. They're designed to give more. So that's why we don't share folders in a company's on a desktop level, right? You will not see a Windows 10 sitting in a server room for file sharing, right? That would be like people would laugh at that, right? Like, what the hell? So now we're going to go back to the server, and we are going to create let's say the share for this person, right? But of course, when you simply share this file, it's shared now. So if I want to test your basic knowledge about file sharing, I'm going to say this file is shared. Can you find me the path of this file? Right, so now this is where you're going to get tested, because if somebody wants to test your skills, and this is a very, very basic skills, by the way, extremely basic, so people can definitely test you. So how are they going to do that? Or how are you going to say, hey, I know how to find the file? So they will say, go ahead and find it. So number one, what you will do, you can right click and show it to the person by properties and go to share. As soon as you click on sharing, it's going to say folder is shared, and they may say this is the path, right? This is the path. The next method would be on a GUI, you can also type / this server name DC DH/. And as soon as I do that /, because it's a domain controller, these comes with default net logon and sysvol. You don't need to worry about these two right now, but look at this, the share is available on this server. If it's on a different machine, I can also do that, DC DH, and look, it's coming up. Will I get to that? No, that's something we're not discussing right now, but I just wanted to show you that people will ask you about share paths, because that's a very common thing. And what is another way that you can use is command line. So all you have to do, you're gonna go to your command line. Doesn't matter which server. This server, we're gonna use it right here, and of course you're gonna be on that server. So you're gonna type net share. So if I do that right now, I'm going to find out that there is a folder shared on the server right here on the desktop. Okay. So now this is another good question. A lot of people will ask us that, hey, well, is this a correct way to do that? Well, absolutely no, right? Because if you share a folder on an administrator desktop, you need to think about this in this way. Look at the path that person has to go through. That user has to go from here all the way down to this right here. So look, they have to pass administrator profile in there, which is kind of crazy. Like, why would you do that as an administrator? If you put something on your desktop and you tell people to get to my share, then of course they will have a very hard time, and you have to do a lot of changes to your permissions to get to that level. So if I try to come over here, do I need to put the full path of that share? No, I don't need to, because that's the whole path of where the file is. I just need to type dc dh/share, but of course I cannot access that, because what happened, if you go back to the advanced sharing, you look at it, it's everyone right here, read only, but still I cannot see that. Even if I add, let's say, mcuckoo, you can search people by the username as well, by the way. So if I do the search cuckoo and I just say apply and I click OK and I click OK, apply, OK, you have to do the apply, OK. And if I go back now, I'm going to do dcdh, I still cannot access it. Even though I say she can do a read, read on that. Right? That's because we are not putting this in the right place. So now, let's not change anything and do the same process. All right, so now we're going to go to this PC and we're going to go to C drive. And we're going to come over here. Now, some people may say, is that the best way to do it? No, a lot of people will be using different methods, different drives, specifically designed for sharing purposes. They may have a network storage, different type of file sharing services are out there. People use that, and servers being just used to kind of control those type of shares, which I'm going to show you in this video later on. But of course, for that you have to know a little more advanced learning, and you have to kind of get into that stuff. And if people are using it, they're going to let you know what they use. And as long as you know these basics of how to get to the files from clients, then that's it for entry level. You really don't need to go to details. If you do find that in your companies, then of course you just need to do a little more research on that. And that's how we all learn. So you're going to go to the C drive, you're going to come over here, right click, and here I'm going to create a same folder, but I'm going to call it share 2 now. Okay. And we're going to right click over here. We're going to go to properties, and we're going to go to sharing, advanced sharing, share this folder, apply, and we're going to click OK. And now we're going to go back to this server, this client machine. So we have share and share 2. Boom. So you see, the path where you share a folder matters a lot. Even though I did not add this user, even in permissions, this person is not even here and they still got access. Why? Because it says everyone should have read access. Now, what if we basically play around with this a little bit more and we say that, hey, everyone should have a read access, but what we want to add mcuckoo. And before we do any applying or stuff like that, we want mcuckoo, can she do anything over here? Can she add a folder? She say, hey, she complained about, look guys, I got the access here, but I can't add something over here. If the message clearly says you need permission, they're probably going to send you a screenshot, and this is a permission issue. And it's a very common thing, by the way. When a new user come to the company, sometimes we forget steps, or maybe we don't add them to the right folders, and they get access to those folders because they have read-only access. They will send you a ticket. Okay, so it's not going to work. So here, if I come over here, then of course we want to give some permissions to this Monica person, and if I say change, I'm going to click apply and OK. Unable to create a rich document, access denied. So still it's denied because we haven't applied it fully, right? That's what it is. If I right click now, there you go. So of course you have to apply everything correctly for that to work. Now after this, of course, there's many things a lot of people will do. So if you go to the company, they may have a full setup, like under marketing 1 team, 2 team, 3 team, and then they will do something like groups. So of course in Active Directory, when you have 1,000 people, you're not going to be doing this probably one by one. You always do this kind of like as a group too. So if I go to permissions, and if I come over here, I can add a whole group in here, unless I'm sure if we had it, the group right here. Yeah, Excel's group is right there. So people can add a group like this, and then that's it. When you drop that user into a group, so whenever you created that account in Active Directory, you just kind of saved yourself from that step. So a lot of people do proactive type of things too. So it doesn't become like a forgetting type of things, tedious type of work. So of course, this is something a company will go over, that this is how things are set up. And then basically they kind of like you add it and do things. Now, before I jump into a server level management on sharing, I want you to, if you're a group member, you're taking our program, I want you to visit your test out, Access PC Pro, and also the Client Pro will also see, you're going to see a lot of files management stuff. So if you click on the chapter 11, I really want you to focus on manage files on Windows level, and of course read all about this stuff, because it's very important to understand what this means, like NTFS permission facts. Because if you don't know the facts, of course you're going to get stuck somewhere, and it will be just by design like that, right? It's because how Windows sharing works. If you don't know this knowledge, then it will become harder for you to work with files type of issues. And the reason I love this, because when they give you a scenario, it's always like an administrator type of scenario. You click on it, you're the IT administrator in a small group, and Office, you need to set attributes on a file and sharing. So then of course you see it, they kind of get into a little more practice over here, which I really like to create that scenarios in here. So make sure you guys do these labs, real labs. These are, of course, when you get in, they're basically exactly the same thing that I'm working on right now. So you shouldn't see any difference between these two. You can see it's a real machine right there and simulated, but great way to learn skills right here. Okay, so make sure you guys remember that you have this access and fully use it. Come back to it, practice around with it again, and maybe replicate the same stuff that you have learned in test out, and maybe create it right here. That is the best way you can learn, because now you're repeating the things that you learned from test out in a real environment, which is awesome. Okay, the next thing you may see is control over these share folders, and that is something, like I said, different products can do this, servers can do this as well. How would be a scenario? So before we move into that, let's first use the sharing. Like, how would you learn about what is the benefit of doing this type of learning? When you learn about the sharing, you know one thing now, that this folder is accessible some way, like a pathway, which is a very powerful skill that as a desktop person, sysadmin, whoever you are, wherever you go, you gonna use this so many times, so many different skills levels, that command line, whatever it is, right? You are going to be relying on this type of learning. So now you know to get to that folder, you can just type //dc dh/ and share 2. So I know I can get to this folder now. The thing that it teaches you is this. One, if this user ever called you that I'm having some type of, I need to share some file with somebody. So you can tell that person that I dropped it into this folder. Just type this and you're going to get to it, right? Or you type it for that person. So rather than you bringing a USB, plugging it into one machine, going to another machine, you know now how things works on a network, right? Because you did this sharing on the network. Of course, you cannot access this from your home because you need a VPN for that, which we will cover in later after this video. So you see that one, you can do it this way. One, you can drop a file, meaning a software, and you go to the other machine and you just run the software. So that's a manual way of installing a software. That we will learn as well, software installations and deployments later on. But here you see the power of learning just one thing, this path. You shared it and now you can access it from all over your network. Or you can create a share for yourself and you put the softwares that maybe you're installing in all over your labs, computer labs, business, whatever it is. You may have one place that all the technicians, they work together and they say we're going to use this one path to keep updating our software library, whatever that is. You know, many companies uses different type of softwares and they use paid softwares. When they get it, what do? They don't just look for it in emails. They don't kind of look around for that. They may either put it on a cloud base like a OneDrive, or they may put it on something like this. A lot of people use local servers for their applications. So because it's easy to access, because once you get a VPN, you get to it, you install it. And a lot of people have different type of applications, client applications, and you are definitely going to come across this. So this is the power of sharing. But another thing about this is once you know the path, then what do? A very common interview question is, how do you map a drive? Because telling a user to go with this route is a very hard thing, by the way. You know, a normal user does not understand what do you even mean I can get to the path? How? This is not a Windows, open a file explorer. Okay, they don't understand a lot of these things, right? You cannot tell them to go to the bar and then type this, and you have to do all this stuff for them. So some people do understand it, some people don't. So when you do this, a lot of people may say, okay, can you make it easy for me? I don't want to put this path every time. So just drag and drop, just like that, right? Every time they come to the work, they double click on their shortcut and now they're in, without typing the path. Another user may say, we need a one map drive. We don't want to do this shortcut thingy. We want to make sure that everything is in sync. Everybody's using the same rules. Right click on this PC, click on map drive, and there you go. And a company may have a rule that everybody will be using, let's say, personal drive, P drive. And we're going to use that share. Or a company may have designed something which some people can create that share as well by usernames. So when they log in, they will have a main share, and then it will use its username automatically, right? So you may see something like that, and when you log into the company's machines, you may see that. So there are many methods, but I'm just showing you the simplest methods that people may test you for. Okay, so now when you click on finish, the drive is mapped, and if it's like a group type of sharing, then of course when they click on it, they're going to see a lot of different type of groups in there, and some people will have access to some folders, some won't have it. Like finance probably will be restricted, HR will be restricted to only them, right? So you got to work on that. So in your practice, you can do that, find out how do you restrict things from one user to another user, and that's something you do in your project, and that's something you learn from the test out, from the practice labs, and this is something that's going to get repeated till you get bored out of it, till you remember this stuff. Then you want to learn something more advanced after this. So what is advanced? Little more advanced than this would be, or something that you want to impress your resume, like putting something on your resume, hey, I know this. Or talking about this project, right? Because this is all simple stuff, but you can impress a little bit more, right? So now you have this map drive right here, which is showing 43 GB. And I'm like, this person have this much space, 32 GB. So one day they can come here and then they can drop a whole movie of their cat and dogs, right? They come here, they drop a full movie with a cat and dog. So if they do that, my whole space is gone for everybody. Okay, we don't want to do that. So we need some restrictions. You see, you couldn't do that on just a simple share level. So we need something more powerful. For that, we're going to use a server manager. And just like a Active Directory is being set up by somebody at higher level, this is going to be done by probably a systems administrator or whoever have more higher level rights than this new person. So you're going to go to tools. And in here, what we're going to do is we're going to find something, file and resource managers, which we don't see. So if you don't see something in server like that, what do? Right? Now you're learning a little bit of server skills. If you don't see something like that, you're going to go to manage. You're going to click on add roles and features. And we're going to click next, next, next. And here, when you come to this point, we need to find something that can help us with that feature. So clearly we are going to look for something that has to do with files. So if you come over here, you see files and storage services. Now by default, it has something working, which is file server, which we really need that, right? But if you want to add more stuff, of course, like I said, it can go more advanced, like where you have namespaces, DFS stuff going on, the features. There are many other things that can happen over here in the server that you can really learn more advanced stuff, which a lot of people use. But this is the one that you're going to also come across, and that can be the one that can give you a little bit of more something on interview. File server resource manager. Yes, I know how to do that as well. So now if I click on it and as I add a feature, I'm going to click next over here and click next and install. And now it's installing this feature, so then we can control our shares from this server, which is amazing, right? We can control what they can add into these machines or not, or I can control how much space this person should have, because I don't want to just blow away 1 TB space for my whole network and give it to this one person so then they can do whatever they want to put on there. That would be crazy, right? So we need to control that. All right, so now it's done. We need to come to the server and basically close this, and we can go to tools. Now you install the role, it should show up in the tools section. So if I come over here, you see file server resource manager, and here we can see these features right here. Okay, so this is what we're talking about, that we have more control over these different type of features. For example, if I want to add a space limitations on this, so I can right click here, create a quota. So if I come over here, what I need to do is I need to get to that path basically. So if I go to browse and go to the actual file, which is shared to, and I click OK, you can see that we can put 100 MB limit. I can make it more if I want to, or we can define a custom one too. So if I click on that, you see we have 100 MB. So if I right click here and refresh, you see I changed that to 100 now. That's it. So that's the first control we did. We kind of saved our whole drive from this one person to destroy it. So we just kind of did that first part. And of course you may say, hey, does level 1 do this? Like I said in the beginning, anything that you set up on the server is not going to be level 1. It's not going to be the entry level people. It is just for you to now know how things are working so you can learn better. Because back in the days, people didn't have too much access, even in trainings. They won't give you access to the servers because things were a little expensive, a little hard to set up. Virtualization was not common, but now virtualization is everywhere, and especially in our program, everything is online now. So you learn this way, a very easy way, but you don't need to go in extreme deeper details of everything on the server level. That would be your mistake then, because you don't want to get into a loop of learning deeper in the beginning, because if you start doing that, you can never get out of it. You will always say, I don't know this, I'm not confident, and you will never be able to get out of that unless someone really pull you off. Like in our program, we tell you that, hey, that's it, you just learn the basics, go talk about this stuff, play around with it, go to the company, whatever they use, now extend your knowledge on that type of technologies or their way of doing, because they have done this for years and years and years, and they know exactly what they're doing. So coming back to the file screens now, of course, we wanted to kind of like protect this person from creating a MP4 file. So let's just go ahead and say my dog. And we're going to right click actually we're gonna go to the file and we're gonna, oh man, what am I doing? We're gonna go to the file and we're gonna go to save as, and this is a text file. So remember, these are small skills that I'm showing you right now, that I'm changing the text file, extensions and everything. All of this stuff you need to learn from the program. Test out. Once test out is finished, you need to learn a lot of these basics from the practice labs, which is this axis then, right? So this is why in our program, we don't go into tiny things which can delay your good skills learning. So, and that doesn't say that the other schools are not good. It's just that it's given to you. Everything is in there. So why waste our time on that one? Let's learn something good. So we want to learn MP4. We want to add MP4 into this right now. So we have an MP4. She just added this, and let's assume this is a 90 MB file, and boom, we know that this person is running out of space, but they are putting a lot of things that we don't want to allow. So let's say we don't allow MP4 files. Okay, so you're gonna come over here, you're gonna create a screen, and again, path, sorry, my mouse is acting up today, so let's go ahead and screen. Okay, you see right here, block audio and video file. Now of course I can do a custom properties as well, but then I have to kind of like really dig deep through it, like, oh, and I can create my own if I want to. A lot of people use this for ransomware in security as well. They have some good list out there in public that can be updated automatically. I think I have a video of that on YouTube. If I click on this device, block audio and video file, and I create a share on this, a screen, like a protection, right? So this file is there, that's fine. If I copy that, it won't let me do that because we blocked that. So that's why I like to tell people that all of these things are done by design already before you join the company. This is where your learning becomes hard because the things are already done and you never seen these things. But in a lab like this, now you see things. Now it makes sense to you. So if a person call you tomorrow that I am putting a file in here but it's getting access denied, now you know whatever this company is using, at least you know they are using something to deny their access, right? So now you go back and say, hey, can you guys show me how all of this works? Because it makes my job easy. Now if they are using a servers like this, you know exactly how things are working right now because you are clearly seeing that everything right in front of you, you will be doing it. And if you want to go a little bit more deeper into learning, then the best way is to learn about these events as well. So when you click on event viewer, which is something that you learn from the test out, from your practice labs and the live sessions, trainer went through this stuff, right? So you saw where to actually find logs now. So you can actually go to the application logs, and now you can learn a little bit more deeper level stuff. Because if you learn how to read logs, if you know how to find the error log, this means the day you started to work on this like regularly, this is a step towards more advanced skills in IT or advanced careers in IT. Because at the next level, everything is by logs. Most of these things, we don't just jump around left and right. We don't have solutions, by the way. We have solutions, but we don't have too many solutions like at the desktop level where you can just restart a machine, re-image the machine, right? You don't care about error. Let's say it's not getting fixed. You never care about that. I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's just reset this whole machine from scratch, right? So here you can come over here. You can see all these different type of logs right here. Group policy logs are here. System logs are here. There's some warnings going on right here. If you go to the application, then there's application warnings right there. You know, if you go to the server level, same stuff on the server. So if I go to the server now, I open the logs, go to application logs, so you can clearly see what's going on right now. If I click on this warning, the system has detected that user. It gives me exactly who the user is. Try to copy this file on this share. It tells me exactly who is doing what, right? Imagine if this is like a bad malware trying to attack our systems, but we had something like this added to our systems, and that extension is bad. We already detected that. We want to block it from the whole network. Imagine we're going to get bombarded with these logs, and if the email is set up, it's going to send you the email as well. That, hey, this person is doing this. This is how powerful it is. This is how powerful logs are, because without logs, I couldn't see all this information. It's going to be happening in the network, but I don't see it. And even if you, let's say you are the one-man IT person and you have this type of access, then you can come and see exactly what's happening. Or you can ask your administrators to help you. So, of course, after this, the file sharing never stops. The learning never stops. In this area, you can go a little more deeper, practice, make scenarios, and again, use your test out, use your practice labs to learn more and more and more and more. And, of course, when you have this project access, come and break these things, make it again, and play around with it till you learn this stuff. Thank you.